Hi, how are you? I am Dr. Burgandi Collins, and I am a chiropractor at Collins Chiropractic in Springfield, Virginia. And if you go to my website, collinschiropractic.co, you will see so many videos of exercises and information about chiropractic in general. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to answer a question that I get all the time in the office. I also get this question a lot in my DMs on our Instagram page. The question is dry needling the same as acupuncture? People go to the Instagram page and they see people with needles in their backs and in their upper back, and there are many questions about what the heck am I doing to these people? And also in the office, when people do get dry needling, I think it's kind of curious, is this the same as acupuncture? So let's answer that question for you. Okay, so first, the answer is no. Dry needling is not like acupuncture at all. The only thing that we have in common with acupuncture is that we actually use acupuncture needles. And I'll show you the needles right now. So here's a needle, very thin, okay? These needles are very, very, very thin. And there are lots of different brands of needles. And I'll show you how thin they are. This is a quarter. That is how thin the acupuncture or dry needling needle is. I'll also use a push pin to give you another frame of reference. The needle is actually thinner than a push pin. Okay, so let's talk about what these needles do, and I'll go into more detail about the needle. Now, first, let me talk about acupuncture, what acupuncture is. Acupuncture is an entire form of healthcare, alternative healthcare, Chinese medicine on its own, okay? It stands alone. Acupuncture uses qi and mapping to determine where they place their needles. It deals with entire body systems and body system issues or problems. For example, when I went to the acupuncturist, I went because I wanted to sleep better. The acupuncturist didn't put needles in my eye. He didn't put them in my head. He had very specific places where those needles went based upon the criteria for a person who has insomnia. I actually had needles in I think on the top of my foot and my wrist. They were in these random places. That is what acupuncture does. It uses their own system to determine where they're going to place these needles, and acupuncture has an effect on the entire body system. So you can go to an acupuncturist for, like when I went, for insomnia or digestion issues or infertility issues or so many different reasons. People go to the acupuncturist for relief. I don't do acupuncture in my office. We don't do acupuncture at Collins Chiropractic. We actually do dry needling. Dry needling is a trigger point therapy treatment, okay? It works specifically for the muscles and the muscles to help heal the muscles and eliminate the trigger points, the knots, and the areas of tension. Now, let's go back to these needles. And this is how acupuncture and dry needling are actually different. As you recall, I just mentioned that acupuncture uses mapping and qi and all this comprehensive means of determining where they're going to place the needles in order to get the best effect for the patient. Dry needling, all we do is we go to that muscle, and we feel a knot or there's a trigger point or area of tension. That is where the needle goes. We only stick the needles in the areas where we feel, and that's our criteria, where we feel these knots or trigger points that the patient will let us know that are there. These needles, again, are very thin gauge. Again, just to remind you, see how thin it is compared to a push pin? Compared to a quarter, so thin. These needles go directly into the muscle knot, and when it goes into the muscle knot, it stays in there for 10 minutes. Can you even see it right there? It stays in there for 10 minutes. And as the needle is in your body, and the whole thing doesn't go in. Actually, the needle varies in length too. They can be pretty short, have some shorter ones over there, or they could be really, really long. It just depends on how thick the muscle is. But I pretty much just pluck the needle in to the body specifically. I'm trained for this. The needle goes in, it sets in your muscle. Honestly, you don't even really feel the needle. You'll feel it initially pierce the skin because obviously that skin, you're going to feel it. You do have nerves. But once the needle goes in your body, about halfway through, you don't feel anything at all. You feel a presence. You feel something's there, but the needling does not hurt. Now, some people may disagree. I'm thinking of a patient who he hates needles, but he hates needles in general. So that's probably the reason why he hates needling. Makes sense, right? But when the needle is in your body, if you don't think about it, you aren't really fully aware of it. But anyway, while the needle is in, I'm just going to set it there. While the needle is sitting in your body, the goal of the dry needling is to decrease trigger points and knots in your body. And the way that it does that is when the needle is inside, as soon as it pierces the skin and the muscle, it immediately attracts this blood flow because the blood is coming to the area. It wants to find out what the heck is going on. So while the needle is sitting there, blood rushes to the area. And it is the oxygen in the blood that releases the trigger point or knot. So when muscles contract, the easiest way I can describe to you how this works is if you can imagine a muscle contraction being like fingers that come together and interlock. Okay, whenever I'm contracting right now, I'm contracting this muscle to move that shoulder, blah, blah, blah. I'm contracting my muscles to move my fingers. Those muscles are interlocking. And when a muscle releases, so do the fingers. Okay, when there's a muscle knot or trigger point, these fibers do not release. They're just stuck. They're jammed. The only way to really release that is to get oxygen to the area to release it. And dry needling gets oxygen there by the saturation of blood. And then the muscle can relax and the contraction goes away. Dry needling is a fantastic, phenomenal way to eliminate trigger points and knots in muscles. It sounds terrifying to some people if you have a fear of needles, but it feels so good afterwards. If you want to know more about dry needling and maybe even try it firsthand, contact my office. If you fit the criteria for a person who needs dry needling, because I only needle people who need it, I will do a dry needling session. It only takes about 10 minutes for the needles to set, another 5 minutes or so to actually get them in and get them out. Actually, it takes a couple of seconds. It takes you longer to lay on the table than for me to prep your body for the needling. But in any case, I would love to improve your back and any tight muscles in your legs or arms or shoulders. And if dry needling is something for you, I'd be happy to do that for you as well. So go to the website, collinschiropractic.co, to schedule your appointment or give our office a call. You can Google us. I don't have our number memorized. That's bad. I think it's 703. Our phone number is 703-884-7882. Okay, so give us a call or just leave a message and we'll get you in. All right, I hope you found this video informative. Hope you learned something. Feel free to share. Thanks for watching. Have a phenomenal day.